What's up, world, and welcome back to the Global Frequency. I am your host, Nefarious, and with me, as always, is Adam Lawson from Gifted Rebels, and this is Rebel Frequency. Before we get into the two books we're going to talk about this week, we're going to talk about what we got in the stores. So, Adam, you take it away.
Yeah. No, I mean, this was epic. I have a great local LCS that I go to. Andy runs it. It's called Brave New World Comics. If anybody's in Santa Clarita Valley, it's the place to go. But he always has great recommends. And this one I read as well. It's called Black Road by Brian Wood. It is fabulous. So it's like all his things. It's set in the Viking world. It's tragic. It has bittersweet endings. This is an incredible book. We should do an episode on this. But this I can't recommend it enough. I got Kaya from Wes Craig. I was getting the single issues and I stopped after issue 2 because I just wanted the trade. Love this. It's same artist from Deadly Class, but they're also writing and drawing this. Hammerella came in from Ryan Wynn, who I think we all love. This was a crowdfunded book. Great colors. Excited to see where that one is. This one, West of Sundown by Tim Seeley, who did Hack Slash, who I freaking love. This is like Vampire Cowboy. Dying to get into that. And then I got Seven Sons. Seven Sons. This is Jay Lee's book, who I freaking love as an artist. Just you can see incredible artwork that he delivers.
Look at those panel designs. Those
Yeah, I mean the panel design on this kind of thing.
What is going on there? Look at that.
Yeah, it's incredible. I've yet to read it, but I can't say enough good things about Jay's art on that. And then my last thing is from Jim Mahfood, who did a cover for The Exile, this Girl Scouts book. You know, his art is very different. You know, it's a niche look and feel. The writing is super solid. I haven't fully finished these yet, so I'll get into these later. But Jim did a great cover for The Exile. Really cool artist who keeps pushing. So that was my monster haul of trades.
That's awesome, man. That is a heck of a haul of trades. I got to keep my eyes out for the Caius trade because I've been reading the singles and I think I missed the last one, so it probably just behooved me to snag the trade. All right, so I picked up this. It's really interesting looking. It's called Junk Rabbit. It's an image, obviously. It's got kind of like that scratchy detailed style in the interiors, but it also has these really weird muted color schemes. I really haven't gotten a chance to finish the first issue, but I'm looking forward to it. We've got Something's Killing the Children. Obviously, I have to keep going with that.
Did you do that? I just did the first trade on House of Slaughter, and I loved it. I just finished reading it in the first trade. Yeah. House of Slaughter. I know the James Tinian. What's going on there is so exciting. Yeah.
I mean, he's really killing it. That series is just, it's fantastic. And it just keeps going too, right?
And the Tyler Kirkham covers variants that he did this run of them are just out of this world.
I picked up the first 3 issues of the new Joe Fixit run from Marvel. So they've got Peter David back on the Hulk. And Peter David wrote the Hulk for a decade. So it's nice to have him kind of back in the driver's seat with Joe Fixit. It's interesting. It feels like old school Marvel in the days when Hulk was just kind of like a fun story. It didn't really have a whole lot of depth. I remember an issue where it was Grey Hulk fights the Rhino, and the Rhino was dressed up as Santa Claus. And it was a Santa Claus issue, and they wind up wrestling, and then there's they call a truce, and there's Christmas cheer. And there's some real good feel-good moments like that in this series. There's one where Peter Parker just kind of sits down with the Hulk having breakfast, and Absorbing Man shows up because he's going to rob the bank across the street. And Hulk is like, no, just go or I'm going to smash. And he grabs his wrecking ball, and Absorbing Man's like, all right, I'll go if you let go of my wrecking ball. And he leaves, and they sit down and have waffles or something. It was nice to feel the Hulk isn't gonna do whole green door really get mired in the lore of the Hulk. It's just kind of a light, fun story. Anyway, on top of that, I've got the first 5 issues of the Silvestri Batman run. I mean, I've been reading this and going, issue by issue, but I've got to say this, if you sit down and you take them all in all at once, it is a heck of a a fun read. There's only one more
I
issue
mean, what
left.
Sylvester's been doing with the art on those pages, I mean, you
Yeah.
feel like you're in the middle of the same we feel like with Jim Lee's Hush, right? Where it's like every page is just knocking you out. It's just so incredibly laid out, and the compositions are next level. And he did everything the hard way so that it's as cool as it can be. No, nothing easy, no easy pages.
Right. I'm also thrilled with the writing. I have to say, Silvestri's really hitting all the right notes as both a visual storyteller, but also a narrative storyteller from the perspective of how he's laying out the plot progression, how he's doing his dialogue. All of it feels very gritty and fun. Definitely feels like a throwback to like the old days when like Batman had a real focus on the villains and trying to solve the mystery of what's behind his villains' motivations. And I just got to say, like, I've been really enjoying it. It's like a whole Silvestri production, right? He's doing the all of it. So I'm excited to finish that up. There's Stoneheart. It's a number one from the woman Emma Kubert who did Inkblot.
Yeah.
I liked issue one, kind of. It feels like it's starting to find, like, it still has to find its rhythm, but by the end of the first issue, I was interested to see more. Demon Wars is the new series on the stands from Peach Momoko.
Yeah, Peach is somebody whose art I've been following. It's next level stuff.
It's
Like the
beautiful.
layouts, the colors, everything that's happening there is so
And,
incredible from Peach.
and then, I mean, I should probably mention it. I picked this up. This is issue number 2 of The Exiled. I really love this color. Cover rather. I thought it was great. I saw multiple covers at the store, but this one really spoke to me. It felt very Demolition Man. And if you guys are out there, if you're keeping track, if you're keeping abreast of the series, Adam's telling a really great story here. Yep, I saw that one too. That's the one I've got,
Yep,
and that was the other one of the other ones. Yep, that one reminds me of like a cyberpunk, like almost like a cyberpunk homage.
I know.
And
And
of
this
course,
one
you've
though,
probably got special covers, right?
I don't actually like. I have to go buy them myself. I can't get them all. This is Preston's cover,
Yep.
and I like his line of covers the best. And we commissioned these ourselves, Keith and Wes and I, and that's been running. I just love what he does. They just feel so heavy metal. In back in the old days when it was cool.
Yeah, Preston stuff's gorgeous, and
Yeah.
his style's really well suited to bring out the action-oriented storytelling in The Exiled. I'm really excited to keep abreast with the story because even though I backed the crowdfunding campaign, so I get the trade when it comes out, I'm still sitting here like chomping at the bit, like what's happening in the story? I know it's going issue by issue. I want to know, and I'm also afraid to peek in on it because I don't want to like have read the whole thing by the time the trade comes out. So it's a tough I'm being pulled in two different directions. One is I want to find out what's going on in this series and keep up with it as the issues come out. And the other is I want to read the whole thing all at once and not know what I'm getting into. So I don't know. We'll see what happens and what wins out. But anyway, that's what I've got from the stores. Real quick, I just want to mention I picked up. Well, I didn't pick up. I finally received my Robert Bounty Hunter. This I backed a couple of years ago, and I'm really happy to see this. The art and the interiors are gorgeous. It's Jose Ramirez. I think he did everything on this, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah, he created, written, and illustrated by Jose Rosendo Ramirez, and it is a really nice looking book. I also got David Brink's Perfect 10 number 3 and the Crossworlds. This campaign finished up just in April of I think was it this year or was it last year? It was last year, April of last year. So we're finally receiving it after a year of like development and release, and I'm really happy to get into Perfect 10 because it's one of my favorite ongoing series that's in crowdfunding. All right. And with that, we should probably talk about the two
What we
subjects
came
that
here,
we
yeah.
have. Yeah, what we came here for. We have got Nottingham, or Mad Cave just in general, and the Graveyard Shift supplemental from Phil Diaz. So Do you want to start with Mad Cave?
Yes. So, to Mad Cave. So, Mad Cave, I first saw Nottingham, this cover in particular, like a year and a half ago in Ohio when I was shooting a commercial for Square. I went into the comic book shop there and it struck me. And then I haven't come back to it, but I started getting ads on Instagram for it. And I read a little bit about this story and the design of this merry men, because it's a historical take on Robin Hood. Obviously, David Hazen, I think I'm saying his name right, who's the writer, is taken has shifted it to a sort of a new vision of it. But a funny thing is I was reading this at the same time I was listening to a podcast about the Crusades, just coincidentally, and it is incredibly correct historically, with just this the merry men angle that he's shifted to be his fictional version. So this was my introduction to Mad Cave, and they've been doing a whole slew of cool series. And that's what I want to point out. This is doing interesting is they're doing direct sales, pushing hard online, pushing hard on Instagram and other sales, but they've been also doing these subscriptions, which is really cool. So I have this first one here for Dahlia in the Dark, and it's like this, get the package from point A to point B story, but set in a modern world where there's fairies and fantasy elements. And what's happening in this story, it's a good story, but what's interesting about it is you get the pages. It's kind of blown out here on screen here, but you can
Yeah,
see
yeah, we can see it.
great,
Yeah.
great artwork here. But with Dahlia in the Dark, I'm subscribed to it, so every month I get the digital issue, and then at the end I get sent the trade.
The
So
physical trade?
yeah, I get sent the physical trade. It's
That's
25
cool.
bucks, right? So you just get it. So you're up to date on it. One is you don't have all the clutter of single issues, which is sometimes a big factor. It's something I've been doing with my own comics on crowdfunding, and I just as I thought, well, just as a consumer, let me feel this, and I actually love it because I'll read these when I'm on set or someplace when I'm with my iPad, and then I get to hang on to the trade, which is what I really enjoy to collect the most. So interesting thing that Mad Cave is doing. I think it's a great model. I'm interested to see how things progress for them. I think with any of these publishers, it's about, can they capture a story, create a story that captures the audience, and I think Nottingham is their number one. But this is, I can't say enough good stuff about this. I mean, look at the pages. First of all, you get this incredible, like, haunting look and style. It's superbly written. David Hazen has just done such a great story. And so in this one, the hero is the sheriff of Nottingham, right? And in it, he's Jewish, and this deals with the Crusades, and obviously the struggle between the Christians and the Muslims, and obviously the Jews as part of it. And so um, he's trying to catch Robin Hood and his merry men, who are psychotic sort of in this story. Like the mass, you can see how crazy it is. They're out killing and murdering people. Maid Marian is in on all the murders, and they're trying to take over. And so it's got a very haunting take to it, um, and but with really great drama. And interesting enough, sometimes detective work doesn't really pay off in comics like it does in movies. It feels kind of, oh, we found this, case solved. But David has really woven a detective story that feels like it's unraveling before you in a really powerful way, which I don't usually find in comics. So, and also I keep referencing the writer, but the artist has delivered these just you know tremendous pages, right? And the design on this mask, is so good. So this is what Nottingham is about. And in the first issue, we're dealing with Robin Hood, and the second issue, the sheriff of Nottingham is heading out to go get Richard the Lionheart, who's been kidnapped in the Crusades. He's teamed up with a Saracen Hashishin, an assassin, and it deals with sort of the bigger picture experience outside of Nottingham, while their treachery is afoot in Nottingham. So great history in this, great intrigue. I mean, definitely speaks a little bit to like Brian Wood, who was talking about the Black Road earlier. Somebody who understands how to make historical fiction incredible. So I'll let you talk here because I've blown it out.
I just I switched my camera so that I could show this off a little bit better. So this is some of the artwork that we're looking at here.
Yep.
This is really
Yep.
exceptional in my opinion.
Colors are so good.
Wonderful gestural, very very kinetic style storytelling here. Physical proportions are done to kind of exaggerate the motion. You know, like the way that he's posed here. I mean, that's incredible. Look at the foreshortening on that shoulder, right? Like it doesn't
Yep.
even look like it's like properly positioned to the neck, but it's because of the way he's driving that sword in.
Shane
Occasionally,
Volk. Shane Volk is the line artist on this, and I agree with you. Like those distortions, like is are slightly distorted. That's
yeah,
kind of what gives it its haunting and like you're saying kinetic feel. Is it's not so stiff. It has like this motion you're talking about there, and then Luca Romano's colors, make it so visceral, right?
right. Occasionally, the foreshortening and the exaggerated anatomy doesn't pay off. Occasionally, you'll get a shot like this where Robin Hood's neck is just incredibly long. You know, like it looks a little bit
Yeah,
too exaggerated compared to his shoulders and everything, and that
totally.
throws me a little bit sometimes. But for the most part, the way that the art is done, you can see it is just incredibly kinetic. You know,
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
motion is really captured there, and that's why the distortion kind of works. Also, there are some fantastic panel sequences,
yeah,
like in
yeah,
particular this one. I
yeah,
love the way he does this series of panels here, where you
yeah.
have the Sheriff of Nottingham moving in to fight the guy in the middle. There's that clash. He moves past him, killing him, locks in with the second guy, kills him,
Yep.
and moves past. Like it just reads so well diagonally down the page in a series of action moments, and it's really compelling visual storytelling. So they definitely know what they're doing here. Like you said, they're weaving a very interesting tale. The detective story is really fantastic, but you learn so much about the personal issues that are also tied up in it. Like you said, the Sheriff of Nottingham's the anti-hero, right? He's not the good
Yep, totally.
guy. But he's doing the right thing, for the right reason. He's tracking down these murderous outlaws. And we have a great scene between him and Friar Tuck, where Friar Tuck says, Robin Hood, takes from the rich and they give to the poor. What's wrong with that? They only take from those who can like afford to be stolen from. And the Sheriff
Right.
of Nottingham, he lays it out. He's like, look, they steal from the rich, but they give way less to the poor than what they take. Where's the rest of that stuff going? And who are they to decide who has what and should be taken from? The more they take, the higher the taxes go up to, supplement what's taken. So if he really cared about the poor, he wouldn't be doing it that way because they
That's
wind up
right.
getting squeezed even more. And
Right. Isn't
then,
this a great twist here?
yeah,
Is it like, oh, yeah, Robin Hood, he was the good guy taking from the rich and giving to the poor, but it's like he's taking to the rich, but only a little bit's getting to the poor. So
and they're
where's that
getting squeezed by the rich even more because every time there's a big theft, the taxes go
and
up.
go up?
So,
Right.
and you're not giving money to all of the poor, only some of the poor. So those other poor are really feeling it in the purse strings.
That's right.
Where's the
And
rest of the money? So
that's how this mystery unfolds where you're thinking you know who Robin Hood is, but it's what is this treachery? And then you don't even fully find out that until you start to get to trade two, right? Where that money's actually been maneuvered. And so there is great, this great underpinning to everything. For example, the Merry Men, like at first you think that maybe they're good and then maybe they're bad and then maybe they're just being led by the wrong person, right? So there's these lots of gray areas, right? Because the Merry Men, one of them is dealing with a psychosis, right? Um, in the story, and so it's like you said, it's just the onion just keeps pulling back.
last thing I want to say is you're absolutely right about like the historical look at the Crusades. And the Sheriff of Nottingham, as I showed you earlier in the artwork, he was there. he was part of it, right? And we find out how he wound up in the Crusades. And it
Yeah.
was he was in a barroom fight, and he wound up accidentally killing a duke, or like the brother of a duke, and so he was being pursued, and he throws himself on the mercy of the church. It's actually Little John, not Little John. It's actually Friar Tuck,
Yep.
who he says, he's like, shelter me, give me sanctuary, and he's like, I can't, man, you did something way too bad. I'm gonna send you over to, the port, tell him, my name, hop on that ship, go over to the Holy Land, find absolution, come back, and you're all good. So Friar Tuck's the one who sent him to go fight the Saracens, where he developed his PTSD because he's haunted by the memories of what was done over there in the Holy Land. And he winds up pursuing one of the suspects in the Robin Hood case, who throws himself on the mercy of the church, and
Yeah.
Friar Tuck shelters him. And there's this great
Great
moment
twist.
of the sheriff of Nottingham going, yeah, but you wouldn't shelter me. What kind of hypocrite are you? And I was just like, yo, I'm on the sheriff's side through all of this. The way he's
Yeah.
uncompromising in his
Right, and
moral
it's that
compass.
gray, gritty space where that he goes to the Crusades to hide from this thing he did, which was, a mix of accident and his fault, right?
And yeah,
But
he
then
totally
while
has
he's
laid
there at
that
the
dude out.
Crusades, he does some unspeakable things because war puts you in a place where you do unspeakable things. And so there's all this guilt and regret hanging over him. And you get these really nice flashbacks to these key moments in the Crusades that are haunting him and echoing him in his pursuit of Robin Hood. It's, and like this moment here with the friar and the sheltering is one of the perfect moments where it comes back together. What a
And
great take.
you don't get a lot of narration. One of the things that throws me often is like a non-diegetic narration, where you're just sort of hearing the thoughts of the person for no real reason. It throws me because it's like, who are you talking to? You're telling me your story, but it's not really like, you're telling it for my benefit, clearly. But you're narrating in your head for and to nobody. You're giving me your backstory, but you shouldn't be giving me your backstory in the middle of whatever it is you're doing. There
Totally.
isn't a lot of that in Nottingham. They take their time revealing these pieces, and through dialogue exchanges and through moments of introspection between characters, they unveil this information about the
Yep.
the main character and his
Yep.
history and his backstory, and I really
Yep.
appreciate that. You don't always have time to do that,
But
in a
they
graphic
paced
novel.
this. They
Yeah, they
paced this
did.
though in a really nice way, between artist and writer in a way that this thing really has a build to it where it doesn't ever drag. You get like the backstory, the present story, and the intrigue.
Um,
So that takes us to our
yeah,
next story
Graveyard Shift,
here,
man.
Graveyard Shift. Now we've covered Graveyard Shift before. We went through the first pile of trades. This is a supplemental book that Phil Diaz wrote, and that Tommy Patterson did the art for. Um, it's really, it continues the same sort of look and feel of the other Graveyard Shift stories. Look, you can see just these really long, tall panels that is very signature for them. Um, you can see the color, a lot of heavy blues, very Graveyard Shift. Um, anyways, it's all those things that you'd come to expect in it from Graveyard Shift, except that I think this is the most emotionally connecting story told in that universe.
One hundred
It,
percent.
Phil did something different. I feel like what John and Mark had put together with the others is there's big concepts, but seemed a little light on heart throughout it. And so you kind of got to the end of like big craziness, and then you felt kind of emotional, just kind of like, meh. Whereas this is pretty profound. So you're dealing with essentially this hunter, if you will, um, Bram Stoker, essentially, or Bram as he goes by, and he's this hunter, right, of vampires,
Yeah, he's a
and he's
monster
in a
hunter. Yeah.
yeah, sorry, monster hunter, and he's in an alternate universe from us. He's lost his wife and his child, and in his continuing pursuit of these monsters, one of which is, if you're familiar with this guy here from the past Graveyard Shift, he he encounters his son alive in another universe, right? So he meets his son, the son he didn't get to raise, and he meets him in this other universe. But what he doesn't realize is that son has been corrupted and is a monster and is killing innocent people and believes his dad is the villain. He got corrupted by Dracula. And so he then has to confront his son, this thing he had lost in his former life. And now in this new universe, his son hates him and is out to kill him. And there's this really tremendous battle between father and son where all this emotion plays out. There's even this great page, let me see if I can find it here, panel layout where
It's
he goes
the two
across the
page spread
universes,
at the end. Yep, I got you.
where it's like,
I got
yeah,
you.
there it is, right? Where you're seeing in like they're battling in universe 930, 9374, 777, 230,
Yeah. You can see
2311.
there's Black Flag. There's the Vispas from Cyberfrog's fighting him. There's Johnny Phantasm, right? There's the silhouette. So it's like he's jumping through all of the different parallel universes that everybody's favorite comic book series, their indie comic book series, seem to be set in, right? So I loved that. I loved the fact that it was like these wonderful little cameos
Yep.
from everybody's stories.
It was great. It was a nice little Easter egg across them, right? And I love Dan Fraga so much. I love they stuck in the Black Flag in there. But this story, and also too, I mean, you got to comment on these rad. I mean, continued once again, that Malin and Mark had done before, with these really big, fun '90s looking pages, but with the heart, I think, of a modern book that really lands. And so I think that if the Graveyard Shift series continues, I hope that Phil gets to be involved in it more because I feel like was the missing piece. Was this kind of heart of that that drama of a father having lost a son, then getting a chance to meet them, and then turning out to be a monster.
Right.
And what that creates emotionally is it felt like what this series has been missing. So I can't say enough good things about this supplemental book.
I'll say a couple of good things and then I have a couple criticisms.
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. It has got the heart that, and the character focus, the real the attention to detail on the character's inner struggle and arc, especially in this story. He starts off missing, his son, his wife, giving us this backstory as he narrates. I know I mentioned earlier, I don't really like non-diegetic narration, someone like telling a story in their head. And it did in the beginning throw me a little bit, but the way it's written, and the way that Phil phrases all of the internal narration didn't bother me as much because I realized that I'm reading his story as he's telling his story or as he would tell his story to someone who would listen, right? But he doesn't really have anybody to tell the story to, so we're the silent witness to everything that's about to happen. And in that regard, it made me feel included rather than talked to. So I appreciated that, even though it's not my favorite way to experience a character's inner turmoil. I think something that was really well done was that Dracula, instead of killing Bram's wife and child, he only killed the wife, where the wife was the one who died, and then Bran is gone, and Dracula raised Bram's son, right? And turned him into a monster, but not just that, turned him into a
you're talking in the
monster.
alternate universe,
Yeah,
right?
in the
Yeah,
alternate universe, turned him into a monster hunter, just like his dad, the Bram who we're following from the original
yeah.
universe, right? So it's like father, like son. Bram is a monster hunter, his son is too. But Bram's a monster hunter to free the world of monsters. His son is a monster hunter because he was chosen by God to rid the world of monsters. So he's like twisted, right? But they're a wonderful foil for each other. There's a wonderful parallel and a dark inversion on the part of the son, especially seeing as how his Brand's nemesis is responsible for that upbringing. And it's very tragic in a way where Bran has to confront his child, the very person he was unable to save, who motivates his fight against these monsters now, and can't save him. In fact, he has to put him down. And I thought that that was just such a great way of showing us his resolve so that he can continue his hunt of these monsters. I'll say that the one other criticism that I have about the book is I feel that it wrapped up a little quickly. We have this long protracted fight between Bram and his son, hopping across the different universes. You know, Bram is horribly injured. He gets, stabbed in the eye with the hook and everything. And then we get these. It's just 2 pages where Bram throws the chain over the rafter and pops the bell free, and the bell falls, and his son dies. Bram walks away from the burning building and visits his son's grave back in his universe. And I felt like that was really wrapped up fast.
Right. I
It's
mean,
not it's not
I
bad.
agree. I agree that it was a little short on page count. It's like if you just would have thrown in 2 more pages, and I understand budget's a thing on crowdfunding, but if there would have just been 2 more, it would have
Yeah.
really helped let us down. I agree.
Funny thing is, from what I understand, Graveyard Shift Supplemental was supposed to be 24 pages. And this is like 40 something pages. And I gotta say, it's great that the story was so compelling that John, who's the editor, was just like, okay, have a few more pages. Have a few more pages. And
Okay,
you could
fine.
really tell that it piled up. And probably we're like, okay, we've got to stop. We've got to, truncate it. I don't know that
Yeah,
part for sure.
yeah, yeah,
But I
for
do know
sure.
that originally it was supposed to be a little bit smaller than it wound up being.
Yeah.
I really have this book has a special place in my heart because, like you said, it really felt like it gave us what Graveyard Shift has been missing this whole time, which was a
Yeah.
true emotional connection to the main character and the desire to, now that we've seen him suffer but also succeed, see where he goes next. And I need more of this character. I need a
I
follow up to
definitely hope
this.
this there's more of this, and hopefully that Phil gets to do it, because I agree that changed that whole series for me. Of like, wait, there's something in there. Um, well, dude, it's always awesome to talk comics with you. We've taken a ride through everything we've gotten: Mad Cave, Graveyard Shift. It couldn't be a more exciting time to be in comics with all the different publishers and creators in the market, crowdfunding, small press. It's the place to be.
Definitely. So that's it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you enjoyed the content, click the thumbs up and the bell for notifications and tune into the frequency. We'll see you next time. Bye.